And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, author Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome tonight four-time Emmy-nominated actor of General Hospital and True Detective fame, turned debut thriller author Jon Lindstrom, here to give us the inside scoop on his brand new book out in 2 weeks, Hollywood Hustle. Jon Lindstrom, welcome to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Well, thank you, Sara. Thank you so much for having me. Hollywood Hustle is, well, as you just said, it's my debut novel. I had never written a book before, though I've written screenplays and done filmmaking and all that stuff. But Hollywood Hustle came to me just one morning. Winston Greene is an over-the-hill film star who wakes up one morning to find his beloved 6-year-old granddaughter standing in his bedroom in his mountain home, far from where she lives with her mother, only to find out that her mother, Winston's estranged, troubled adult daughter, has been kidnapped by a group of people who want all of his movie money. Little do they know that movie money is all gone. Having spent a long time in Hollywood, I can tell you that's not unusual. So Winston has to enlist some pretty crafty people. One of them, a legendary stuntman named Grover Washington, no, not named after the musician, and Teddy Beauregard, a disgraced former Los Angeles PD detective and now private investigator because he had to leave the force in disgrace. Teddy is a very good friend of Winston Greene's. So he's got to find a way to beat them at their own game and hopefully get his daughter back alive.
Ooh, well, I cannot wait to get into this because we've got a lot to talk about, Jon. We got a lot to talk about. But first, I just want to welcome everybody because we are broadcasting live to 7 different destinations. So, hey, mystery and thriller loving friends, no matter where you're watching from.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
You're in the right place. This is the right time. It is Mystery Monday because Mondays can be murder. We're going to make them a little less painful for you and get your week off to a killer start. So if you've been here before, you know the drill. And if you're new, welcome. We're so happy you're here. Here's the drill. Every Monday, I give you my handpicked featured authors and you get to ask them anything. So ask Jon about being on General Hospital, that time he ran into a fan at Disneyland, his stint on True Detective Season 2, anything about you want to know about the dirty side of Hollywood, bright lights, big city, seedy underworld, or his writing process. We have a lot to chat about. And plus, this book is getting tons of praise. So we're going to get into that. So let's jump into the comments. Robin joining us from Facebook. Hi, Robin. She says, hello, Sara and Jon.
Hi, Robin.
She says, woohoo, congratulations on your debut novel.
Thank you very much.
Jon, let's start there. So you have been an actor nominated for 4 Emmys, General Hospital, True Detective. You've written screenplays. Why a novel? Why now?
You know, it was the one thing that I always wanted to do and didn't have the guts to try. And if there's anything I can say to a young person, especially if they want to write, trust your desires. I mean, trust your instincts, believe in yourself. Those are all true, but trust that desire. If you have the desire to do it, please act on it because it's in there for a reason. Hopefully you'll come out and who knows, you might be a genius. You might take us all to the next level. But you know, I don't know. I guess from a practical sense, maybe I want to kill Hollywood one book at a time. But I felt like I wanted to pull back the curtain a little bit and let people know what a workaday life in Hollywood is really like. And I wanted to tell it in a story that was the kind of story that I like to read, which of course is crime and especially LA-based noir stories.
Jon, I'm interested when you say that you didn't feel that you had the guts to write a book, because first of all, that is exactly how I felt. I yearned to write a book my whole life, and it took me a very long time to have the courage to actually do that. What's interesting to me is that you've spent your life as your entire career as an actor. That takes a lot of guts, because I think so many people would yearn to be an actor, but would say they didn't have the guts. So it's not like you lack for courage. Like you have packed your tiny bags and gone to Hollywood to become an actor. So what about becoming a novelist? What about writing a book felt so much scarier to you than pursuing your dreams as an actor, which everyone would say is scary?
It's scary, and it is. I mean, Stella Adler used to say that stepping on stage was the bravest thing anyone could do. Personally, I think willingly going into combat is probably a little
Yes.
braver.
Yes.
But I think it has something to do with the fact that you're out there on your own.
Mm.
To be an actor, I was a musician for a long time. You always play with other musicians. Actors work together. You work on a crew, whether it's a theater or a film set or a TV show. Everybody is kind of pulling together to do the same thing. So there's not that sense of aloneness. And if you do it badly or do it wrong, there's somebody there to help you steer yourself back to the correct path. But with writing one of these, that's scary because this is all you. And if everyone rejects it, in a way, they're really rejecting kind of the deepest part of yourself.
Yes.
Because that is where you write from. I think no matter what you write, even writing true crime books, you're still going to be writing something autobiographical in how you see it, how you feel it, how you perceive it, how your own personal experience has been. So I think that's where the fear comes in. Now, it's one thing to sit down by yourself every day and just hit the keyboard and start writing and let it flow through your fingertips. That's what we all seek, that joy of getting lost in the creativity. But it's handing it over to someone after that I think can work up into kind of in your brain like a tumor and really start to eat away at you if you're not careful. That's why I say trust that desire. If you have that desire, you might be writing something that other people want to read.
It's so interesting because I think it is about, I was just having this conversation with another author last night, Al Blanchard award-winning author, Jason Allison, about how there's something uniquely vulnerable about putting yourself out there. It's this deepest part of yourself, this deep, story. But what's interesting to me is that when you put yourself out there on the screen, that seems extremely brave to me as well, because you're literally putting yourself out there. So I'm just so fascinated that you, who literally puts himself out there and up there on the screen for a living, still finds this scary. So
yeah, and I don't take that for granted. Harrison Ford describes film acting specifically as walking into a room with a camera, taking all of your clothes off, letting the camera run until the film runs out, and then putting your clothes back on and going home. And there's a certain truth to that because you do have to expose yourself as an actor, but you're exposing yourself as a writer. So I don't take it for granted what I do in my day job. It is hard. It's not for everybody. And there's a certain personality type that goes along with being able to do that over being able to do other things. Like I love science, but okay. I could never be a biologist. I'd get bored, so I don't know. It's funny. I also think that everything that I've done in one way or another has prepared me somehow for the next thing that I've tried to tackle.
Interesting.
Becoming, falling in love with movies, falling in love with crime movies, with noir movies. I used to watch them on Saturday afternoons. Then I learned how to be an actor, and then I started getting work. Then I started sitting in a lot of dressing rooms being bored. So I started to learn to write, and that's how I learned to write screenplays, which led me to directing. And directing led me to a deeper understanding of structure and plot and story and motivation and intention and all those things in a way that I never had even considered as an actor or even as a writer of screenplays. And it wasn't until I was able to accumulate all of that I even felt ready to take that leap and start writing a book. And I think some of that took away the fear. I had already dealt with a lot of fear along the way already, just becoming an actor and a filmmaker and a screenwriter. But I think, yeah, I think all of that kind of became a bit of a suit of armor for me. It's like, okay, I can do this. I've got a life experience and I have some skills, a very particular set of skills that I can use here. Doesn't everybody love Liam Neeson?
I'm picking up that Liam Neeson taste reference, and I'm picking it up. We have Chris joining us from YouTube saying, huge fan, Jon.
Thank you, Chris.
Yay. Okay, Robin wants to know, okay, Jon, where did this story come from? What was the what if moment? Great question, Robin.
Good question. Yeah. I think in the business, they call that a prompt. If it were a class, here's a prompt. What if something, go. I really just sat down at the computer one morning. The morning is my favorite time to write. And that's usually when I would go and write a screenplay. But I found myself sitting down, just having the desire to finally write a book. And I guess I can say this now. It was Tom Sizemore came into my head, who I didn't know well. I had met him once or twice over the years, but he was a brilliantly gifted guy who came to Hollywood, made a mark very quickly, worked with the best directors on the biggest projects with the best actors.
Wait, who's Tom, for the rest of us? Who's Tom
Sizemore? You would know him as the tattooed bank robber in the movie Heat. He was a member of the crew who Al Pacino takes out when they do the big robbery. Tom was very much on his way to becoming a big movie star, had his demons not gotten the better of him. The problem was he had a real substance abuse problem. And my what if was, what if Tom Sizemore got it together in time? Unfortunately, he died last year. And I never really wanted to mention his name. There's a couple of other people, and I can tell you, I don't have enough fingers and toes to count the people that I know whose lives and careers have been derailed by substance abuse in this business, in the Hollywood business. And I thought, well, what if Tom Sizemore got himself together, built a stable and quiet life? What would happen? And that's where I started writing. So here's an over-the-hill film actor who's managed to pull his life together to a degree where he's still working steadily. He's sober. His life is stable and secure, but there's always that precariousness because he could fall off the wagon. He could not work. Maybe people don't want to insure him. There's all these variables that go into a Hollywood career that will really determine whether you work or not. And for an actor, you have to work. So what if he's gotten his place, his world to a point where he feels pretty stable? What would turn it over and create chaos out of that stability that he's been clinging on to so desperately? And that's where I came up with the story. And I just started writing from there.
That is so and what about this kidnapping element? His 6-year-old granddaughter shows up clutching a thumb drive. It's a video of her mother, his daughter.
Yeah. It was really, I didn't plot this. I didn't put a bunch of cards on the wall. I just started writing. And I thought, what's the strangest thing he could open his eyes to? He wakes up and there's his 6-year-old granddaughter standing in the room, and he's a mile in elevation above everybody else. What the hell is she doing there? And he goes outside to find this very scary guy who delivers the information. You need to talk to your granddaughter. She's got something for you. And she hands over this thumb drive with a video of his daughter being terrorized, at least not tortured. There's some lines that I won't cross, but she was being terrorized. What do? They assume he's got all this money. And this is how my mind was working. They're going to ask for all this money, but he doesn't have any money. Why? Because he fell off the wagon, and because he had a health scare the year before. And what people don't know, this is what I'm talking about, pulling back the curtain. People in Hollywood are on an earned income health care coverage. You know, we have different guilds and different plans and all that, but you got to work in order to earn your health care. So he hasn't worked for a while, and he lost his health care. So now he had to pay all these hospital bills out of his pocket. And money hasn't been the way it always has been in the past, as the strikes just proved. you know, so he's actually in a stable but very, very precarious position. And now these people show up and say, "Give us all your money. We're going to kill your daughter." What does he do? Where does he turn? Who could he possibly go to? Don't go call the police, because we'll know it. Okay. Gee, where do I turn? Well, if it were me, what would I do? I'd want somebody physical, get the stuntman, who I know is also a martial arts expert, and I'll call the guy who was a cop but isn't a cop anymore. I'll call my friend Teddy, who I met on a movie shoot down in New Orleans as the technical advisor. These are the kind of people that we meet. So that was the genesis of the story. I also wanted to have a good body count. You can't have a thriller without a good body count. So all of these things played into each other in order to create a path that I could follow, and hopefully just keep it logical, because that was the kind of the big thing for me. I like to try and keep things grounded the way Elmore Leonard did, the way Raymond Chandler did, the way S.A. Cosby does now. So I hope that answers your question, but I don't have a specific way of working. I'm kind of an instinctual writer.
Ooh. Robin is saying, Jon, you've got the look for Tess Gerritsen's The Spy Coast, about the retired CIA agents in small town Maine. So Tess has come on a couple times. She gave us the inside scoop about The Spy Coast. I don't know if you've read it or not, but it's about these retired. Yeah, fun fact. So where Tess lives in Maine, it has a very high rate of retired CIA agents. And that inspired her to write this book about, well, what are these people doing after spending a year, spending their careers having, been assassins and working in intelligence. And now they're in, the far reaches of snowy Maine. And it is a fantastic book, Robin. So true. Jon would be a great Spy Coast. And the film rights have already been sold to Amazon Prime, I believe. So we can totally see Jon in that role.
Well, that's a series too, that reminds me of, small town in Maine. That reminds me of that great English series, The Prisoner, where they lived in the little village. They were all spies who were kidnapped and dropped into this little village, and they were kept there. You never saw that? Patrick McGowan created it. It was an English series in the 1960s. You can find it on Canopy now.
Okay, if Jon,
you can see Maine. They dropped them all in Maine. Do they ever leave that little town, those spies, or are they always stuck there?
They get out. they
get out and create mayhem.
They get sucked back into the game, into the life. But okay, everybody, if this happens, remember it happened right here. It was Robin's idea. We're all going to the premiere.
From your lips, Robin.
From your lips to God's ears. Renee says, hi, Jon and Sara from Southeast Florida, joining us from Facebook. Hi, Renee. Renee wants to know, Jon, do you prefer being a screenwriter, an actor, or a book writer? Give us the scoop.
Oh, boy. You forgot drummer. I get asked that a lot, I do. And I think the only answer I have for that, I could probably drop screenwriter off the list, because screenplays are just they're very technical the way they're written. Acting, writing, some people would say directing. I'm the most blessed person in the world. I I'm at a point now where I get to get up every day, no matter what day of the week it is, and I get to do something that I love, be it acting, be it writing, be it directing. I can even sit down at my little drum kit and bang away on the drums if I want to, put on the headphones. Um, I don't know, but I think if I were to get to the end of my life and somebody were to ask me, what would you want to be best known for? What do you think you were best at? I would probably say writer. I think I would want to be known best of all as a writer. I hope that answers your question.
That's
'Cause
so
man,
interesting.
I get so bored so easy. I just need all these things to do that I like to do.
Oh my goodness, that is funny. Um, um, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Renee saying congratulations on your debut. We have a
Thank you.
mystery user, very on brand here, saying, "Wow, what a tribute to Tom! That's really incredible. Thank you for sharing that." Yes, thank you for sharing that, John. I had no
Thank you.
idea. Renee seconding it. Such a great question. Yeah, that was such. I would have never guessed that. Robin saying it's shocking to many of us that people we assume have reached their dreams have such demons.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Like I say, I don't have the fingers and toes enough to count the people just that I've known whose
mhm,
lives have careened off the track because of the
mm,
demons that they carry. There's a thing, and listen, write what you know. There is something to that. I do believe that many people who come to Hollywood, specifically performers, and I'm not talking about Broadway or doing, spending your life doing regional theater, and I don't know what goes on in other countries, but I do know that many performers or creative people that come to Hollywood to work and find their career and their dream have a deep well of self-loathing when they start out. Actors specifically, and I know that I did. There's just something about yourself you don't like and you want to be somebody else. Took me a long time to figure out that, hey, John, really, you're okay. You're a good guy. You don't have to hate yourself. And you can also do this acting thing. You don't have to hate yourself to do this acting thing, but there's a lot of people that never figure that out.
mm,
Most do. Most really do. There's a strange irony in that in the beginning, especially, you're encouraged to kind of mine these things you don't like about yourself in order to be more vulnerable, to let it be honest. And frankly, it reads beautifully on camera. But if you let that stuff take over, that's unhealthy. So most people do get a handle on it after a while. And it's not true for everyone. I'm not saying there's a bunch of self-flagellating people walking around the streets of Los Angeles. There aren't. But I do think that many people who succeed often are fueled by those
mm,
demons. That
fascinating.
there's a kind of a rocket ship of demonology in there that can propel any of us to a level of success, at least in the beginning, to get us going.
Wow. Narjana joining us from Facebook. She says, "Hello. First of all, congratulations on your new book. I actually have a GH
Thank you.
question. I remember when Ryan first came into town, he was actually a nice guy and a pediatrician. Then he became obsessed with Felicia. He suddenly had a twin brother named Kevin. How was it like playing two people? Was it challenging? I think you're doing an awesome job on the show."
Oh, well, thank you very much. Um, I wouldn't change my association with General Hospital for anything in the world.
Mm,
Was it hard to play twins? Yes.
mm,
Anytime, especially when you have to do twins who are talking to each other. That's
right.
yeah, it's double the work. No, you don't get paid double. Um, you get a bump, but you don't get double. Let's just get that
Mm,
out of the way now.
oh my
Um,
God.
but it is by far and away the most challenging and probably the most fun I've ever had in my entire career. And I say that having had the great blessings to work with some amazing people, some extraordinary talents out there that I've got to share the screen with, or directors that I've been able to work with. Um, it's it's just a hard job,
Mm.
especially now. For an example, when I started that show in 1992, there was about 49 minutes and change of actual airtime of the show, and the rest of that was commercials. That's how much money they could get from those commercials. They didn't need, more than that. Nowadays, it's more like 35 minutes of showtime, and the rest is ads. So everything's been squeezed down. And that means less cast has a lot more work to do. So whenever you're working a lot, you're going to have an awful lot to talk about. And it's just not easy. I forgot the other part of the question. There was something else there.
Let me pull that up back up from Narjana. She wants to know.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What was it like playing two people? The
Yes.
challenge really was the challenge is always there, mostly in separating two characters who look exactly the same. You can do physical things like mess up your hair and all that. But these two characters were often interchangeable. One had almost a mission to take the identity of the other one and make mischief, as it were, and often make murder because he's a serial killer. But so in that regard, the differences had to be subtle, but they had to be subtle in a way that anybody tuning in could see, that's Ryan pretending to be Kevin. Oh, that's Kevin. I know which one that is. That's easy. But sometimes you don't know. So it was a challenging, it was a challenging job, a challenging assignment. And I'd do it again tomorrow.
Narjana, thank you for that wonderful, thoughtful question. And John, thank you so much for the scoop. Y'all, I just want to remind you, Hollywood Hustle is not even out yet. So John is coming here to give us the exclusive sneak peek and take your questions live. So the book drops on February 5th. February 6th. And John is coming on tonight to give us the inside scoop on this book. So here is the link. Whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, click and pre-order from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore. That is Murder by the Book. And the good folks at Murder by the Book will send this out to you the morning of Tuesday, February 6th. And you can get your hands on Hollywood Hustle. So here is that link. So click and pre-order. Renee wants to know, is there anything else on your bucket list for a career? Okay, we've got actor, screenplay writer, novelist, percussionist. John, what else?
Well, the bulk of my career is behind me now. And I'm totally good with that. Right now, my immediate goal is to finish book 2. Oh my God, what a mountain to climb that is.
Can you tell us anything about it? You can't just tease us like that, John.
Yeah, it's another Hollywood-based crime story. A guy comes back to Hollywood, comes back to Los Angeles after many years away because he was involved in a heist early on in his life that went wrong. And he had come to Hollywood, like so many others, to be an actor, and instead got into drugs, became a gigolo, and in a mad, desperate attempt to escape the life that he's made for himself, he takes part in this heist, and someone is killed. So he drops a dime on the other two people and disappears for the next several years. And he comes back with the idea of not really picking up his life, but seeing what he can rebuild out of it. And when he reconnects with the woman that he was involved with back then, it leads him down another path to a choice where he has to decide whether or not he's going to take part in another major crime or not. And he decides to go through with it. And he thinks he's doing it for altruistic reasons. But my idea here is, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Body Heat.
Of
William
course.
Hurt and Kathleen Turner. Well, Body Heat is the noir movie that all the noir movies that were made during the Hays Code wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
The real femme fatale with
Ooh.
a real protagonist, as you were. I mean, these are really anti-heroes, who makes his decisions from the heart and not the head, and from other places. But we won't go into that. But the point is that he goes down what he believes would be the right road for this particular situation, even though he's doing the wrong thing, only to find that the destination isn't what he thought it was going to be. So that's the one I'm working on right now. And it's not that it's so hard. It's fun to write, but getting there always takes a while. It's funny. I seem to get, when I tell other authors, yeah, I'm working on my second book, I get condolence emails from them.
Yeah.
I've been there, John. Just power through. Keep going. You can do this.
Oh my gosh. Keep going. You can do this. Oh my gosh. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah. So, the bucket list right now is that second book, but I'm doing what I want to do for the rest of my career. I want to write books and make movies and act and see the world. That's what I want to do.
I love this. Now Randy joining us from YouTube says it's so great to hear your story. He's been drumming for 50 years. Okay, two percussionists.
Hey, how's that carpal tunnel syndrome treating you there, Randy? Because I got it pretty bad.
A fun story. I once sat next to the drummer from the band America on a cross-country flight, and he gave me an autographed pair of his drumsticks.
Oh.
So I have an autographed pair of drumsticks. Very cool.
Do you remember his name?
I do. Speaking of signed, though, Renee has a good question. Are these books signed by you, Jon? So here's what we're going to do. For anybody who orders the book from Murder by the Book, DM me your receipt, and I will have Jon sign and personalize a special mystery and thriller mavens book plate that you can put in there. He will sign it to you. He will write anything you want. And I always like to have people write fun things like, to my very best friend, Sara, the inspiration for all of my books. You can have them say anything. Happy birthday, to my dog. Like, you can literally have Jon say anything. And he's an actor. He's a writer. He could have something, from the halls of General Hospital. Love Jon
Whatever
Lindstrom.
you want. I will write
anything you want.
You give me the direction and I'll follow it.
He's an actor. Just give this man direction. So here again is the link to pre-order. So send me, Sara DiVello, on Twitter, Facebook, Threads, Instagram, or TikTok. DiVello does it all. Your receipt. Take a screenshot of your receipt. Send it to me, and what you want him to say. And I will have Jon sign and send that to you. And it's going to be fun. So here's that link. Renee saying, thank you, Sara and Jon. Of course, anything for our mystery and thriller mavens, peeps. Renee saying,
I will sign those. And then I want to hear what you thought of the book.
Yeah, exactly. Then you can tag Jon, put the book plate in there, your personalization. This is so cool, Sara. Renee says, isn't this so cool? And then that's what we're going to do. How about that? Jon, you're in, right?
Great. I'm in. I'm totally in. Thank you.
We have a mystery user in the audience, but I think I know who it is. Says, can't wait to check out the new book, Jon. You're also an excellent narrator of audiobooks. I love your narration of my novel, The Golfer's Carol. I am guessing that's Bob Bailey.
It's Bob Bailey. Hey, Bob. Well, I got to tell you, I love narrating your book. That was a terrific book, Golfer's Carol. Coming from a non-golfer, you almost got me out on the links, actually.
So yes. So fun. Thanks for tuning in, Robert Bailey. So fun to have you here. And so fun. I actually didn't realize that you were the voice, Jon Lindstrom. This is very fun. Another secret little connection here. We're learning a lot. Okay, wait, I missed some comments, so I'm going back to make sure that I get them all. Yeah, Renee saying, thank you for answering all of these difficult questions. You can change your answers tomorrow. Exactly. We'll give you as many takes as you need. She wants to know, are you a good percussionist, Jon, or are you just like banging on those drums?
I was actually pretty good. You can still get our album. It's on iTunes now. The
What?
High Lonesome uh, Collector's album, 1995 to 2010, I think, over the years. The High Lonesome. I was the drummer. The first 10 songs, I think. We had to get a second drummer for the EP that is now on the last 4 songs. But
Renee saying this is so cool. This is so cool. Oh
yeah,
my God.
it's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. That's actually the best for the band.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Okay.
we actually get 3 or 4 cents per play on that one. And yeah, at iTunes. Yeah, it's all over. You can get it at my link tree, actually.
Yay. Very cool. Robin saying, heck yeah, Jon. Thank you,
Heck
sir. My
yeah,
pleasure.
rock and roll.
Yeah. No, she's talking about the signed books. Yay.
Okay,
Signed
great.
books. Mystery and Thriller Maven book plate signed books. Y'all, we are out of time, but time flies when you're having fun. I did want to just talk quickly about the praise that your book has earned. So let's talk first about Publishers Weekly talked about your ability to craft effective cliffhangers. So, Jon, what have you learned both in your writing and in your acting career that has taught you about how to craft these effective cliffhangers?
I had given an early draft to a TV showrunner friend of mine named Lynn Marie Latham. I had met her when she was a head writer on a soap, but she's created and run many primetime television shows. And she just said, she's from the South. She says, Jon, I just kind of prefer it when there's a cliffhanger at the end of every chapter. And I thought, that's a really good piece of advice because the idea is to keep people turning the page, right? So where did I learn it? I think I've just learned it from watching 1,001 movies, from reading as many books as I possibly can and trying to steal from all the good ones. Leave something there that makes people wonder what's going to happen next. That's all.
I love that. Robert Dugoni, New York Times bestselling author of the Tracy Crosswhite series, who's coming on for the 3rd time to give us the inside scoop on his new book coming out in April, raves that your book, Jon, is a high stakes, high octane thrill ride. Lindstrom, a Hollywood insider, is the real deal. And he is not the only one raving. Booklist calls this book a love letter to the city of angels, vividly rendering its varied neighborhoods in meticulous detail, a quick, entertaining diversion. And I want to talk about this one because as a lifelong East Coaster who I've gone to LA many, many, many times, but I could never live in LA. It's just not for me. I'm an East Coaster through and through, but I really felt both the varied neighborhoods and also the grit of the city. So I want to talk about that. Do you love the city? Is this a love letter, or were you like,
it's funny somebody says love letter because I really think of it as a love-hate thing. I lived for some years in New York City and I loved it, and boy, there's a gritty city if there ever was one. But Los Angeles is deceptively dangerous and deceptively lethal. People come here and go, oh my God, there's palm trees, actual palm trees on the street. And yes, they're lovely to look at, but they don't belong here. It's very deceptive. They shouldn't, by all rights, they shouldn't be here. The water shouldn't be here.
Florida is the only place with native palm trees in the US, not LA. Fun fact.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. And I think Los Angeles is a dangerous town. And I think the only way you can really find that out is by spending some time in it. That's why LA Noir has been such a successful genre, if you will, because it preoccupies itself with the dark side of Los Angeles and the even darker side of Hollywood. So I don't know. You've got to be able to walk down the street and go, it's all kind of nice and sunny and the sky is blue and everything, but I can smell the smog under my nose, and I can feel the dirt under my feet on this otherwise what looks like a pristine sidewalk. It's a fairly dirty, gritty city when you get down to it.
But what's weird is nobody walks anywhere in LA. New York is a walking town.
That's true.
LA is a driving city. And crazily, I actually worked on a film which premiered at the LA Film Festival. I was on the production team, and the LA Film Festival takes place in downtown LA, where a section of the neighborhood where people do not go on the weekends. Like there's nobody out there strolling around. I'm a walker. I'm an East Coast girl. I'm out there strolling around. I didn't see one other person walking. I was like, hey, where do I get the bus? Where do I get the subway? There is no subway. Nobody takes the bus. I couldn't find a cab. Everyone has a car. I was like, what is this weird place? It's so strange.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about LA. And you're right. You know, walking downtown LA, it's better now, but it used to be like Wall Street on the weekends. I mean, just a ghost town.
Yeah.
Charles Bronson said, and this is a guy,
parking lot city. Renee's right. Parking lot city.
It's a parking lot city. You know, I call it a two-story town. Charles Bronson said the scariest thing he ever did was shoot on location in downtown Los Angeles in the middle of the night.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah. It can be truly terrifying down there. I don't know what to tell you. It's not an easy city. It's not a convenient city. I think that's, New York is the greatest city in the world when you need Chinese food at 3 a.m.
Which I always do.
I always do that when I'm there.
Yeah.
And to get a cab or to get on the subway and get around, it's great. You can't do that here. If you're stranded in Los Angeles, you're stranded. And that's a really vulnerable place to be. You don't want to be stranded in downtown LA.
I do not, John. I do not. Well, there are so many your fellow LA-based author, Aaron Philip Clarke, raves about your ability to write sharp price, vivid descriptions, and a cast of color for characters set in sun-drenched LA. Aaron's been on the show twice. Yasmin Ungo also raving. She had this to say: Hollywood Hustle has all the premium ingredients, all making the perfect recipe for a best-selling author. Yasmin has been on 3 times for her best-selling Nina Night series. She is not the only one raving. We have I'm putting Castle Freeman Jr. talking about bringing your cast to life in a rich, lively, suspenseful novel, and so many others. I'm putting them all in the comments so that you guys can check them out in your own time. Jeff Ayers from First Clue Reviews deems this a clever and gripping thriller. Robin saying, I grew up in Fontana.
Yeah.
So dirty, and the smog was horrible. Glad to hear it's better now.
Well, I didn't say Fontana was better now.
I thought she was making a fun play on Montana. I didn't even
know. Montana is an actual town south of Los Angeles. It's or
Robin, I thought you were
I can't remember, but no, it's no better now.
Oh my God.
And I'm glad you got out, dear.
Yay, Robin. I learned something new about you tonight, Robin. Yeah. Robin is one of our mystery and thriller mavens regulars. Robin, it's so good to see you.
Y'all, thanks for coming, Robin.
Book is out on February 6th. Here again is that link to pre-order so you can get your mitts on this hustle. And again, DM me your receipt from Murder by the Book, and I will have John personalize a very special mystery and thriller mavens book plate with my gorgeous hand-drawn logo from an artist that I commissioned to draw that woman in the hat. Wow. Very noir. And he will write anything you want. I'm going to have him say something fabulous about General Hospital. To my head nurse, Sara DiVello. To my head anesthesiologist, Sara DiVello. Thanks for saving that patient's life. Y'all, this has been so much fun. Everybody, Jon Lindstrom, 4-time Emmy-nominated actor of General Hospital and true detective fame, giving us the inside scoop on his debut book, Hollywood Hustle. Not gonna want to miss this one, y'all. Thanks for spending your Monday night with me. Robin saying, love your fabulous enthusiasm. Sara, Robin, you're so sweet.
Oh, hell yeah. Thank you.
And I hope we got your week off to a killer start. May the days fly by and the pages fly by at night. I will see you all next Monday. You take care till then.
Thank you so much for coming.
Hold up your copy, John.
Oh.
We're going to do our fade out now.